And I mean, take 3 is always a fucking charm, isn't it? Yes, it is. Especially on these episodes. All right, so we're gonna start it over. Hell yeah. This cool. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Haus Haux. It is your hostess, as always, Moush, and I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, wherever you choose to listen to this podcast, from the bottom of my silly little heart, thank you so much for doing that. And if you're listening for the first time, welcome. You can go ahead and give us a little subscribe, a follow, and then if you listen to this episode and you like it, hey, maybe you'll be so bold as to give us a review. And by us, I mean me, because it's me, Ani. Hey, Moush, what's going on, guys? I mean, I've tried to do like a podcast, like a solo podcast for a while, and this is by no means what this is going to be, but I did take a little summer break to gather things in my life. We did some moving. We had some family stuff happening, and you know, it's important to just take the time that you need, and I took that. So, you know, I told y'all I was going to be in a treehouse for the summer, and I was, and I am, and I continue to be. It was not in Costa Rica as I might have liked it to be, but I did do some traveling. We were in the South for a little bit, and that was very cool. And now I'm back. So I have a bunch of episodes that I recorded in our previous studio at Too Much Content, and I want to keep putting those out, and I want to share those with you because they're fantastic episodes. But I just wanted to catch up with y'all for a little bit. If you've been listening the whole time, congratulations. You've been listening for just about a year now. You've been listening to me ramble to myself and to my guests, and hopefully you've been getting as much out of it as I am. I really love recording this podcast, and I hope to continue to. It's so much fun, and it's been my accountability, which is, again, a theme of this podcast in a lot of my projects, but particularly, as some of you know, my coloring book that I have been working on this whole time, that I've been giving my report just weekly with you guys on the process and all the progress of it. And hey, it's done, guys. It's actually done. It's done. It's available for order. If you go to animushmedia.com, it is there for you. It's also on Amazon if you just feel like getting it right away. It's there. I still make money, but your girl makes more money if you order from her website, animushmedia.com. And there you can also get the candles that pair with each page too. So it kind of ties it all together. And I've just been trying to a little bit relish in that. And I completed this project that I started a year ago. And man, I started so many projects at the same time a year ago. I started this podcast. The idea for the coloring book had been going on for well over a year, but, you know, I really started working on it a year ago, and we started PodClass. And part of my insanity in trying to start PodClass and Haus Haux at the same time, for those of you who don't know, PodClass was a short series that Irish and I did on basically how to podcast. And I wanted to try to take my own advice. So if I was just starting from scratch and a new podcaster, sort of, could I take that advice and could it be successful? And I mean, I've implemented my advice so far. Definitely can take more of my own advice, but I'm sure we all can. And I just want to say thank you all for just encouraging me on this journey of this podcast. It's been so great to hear all of your feedback and see the comments, and I've just loved every single person that I've talked to on this show. So without further ado, I would like to introduce who this episode should be focused on. I wore the banana bucket hat for a reason. I knew it was going to be a little bit blah, blah, blah today, but you know how I do with my bucket hats. Without further ado, I would like to introduce today's guest, one of the hosts of the Top 9 podcast. She is the reason why the Stand Comedy Club in New York City is running the way that it's running. And she is a gorgeous, beautiful friend. She is the voice of God and her name is Adele Carollo, and I would like to introduce you to her today. I hope you enjoy the episode.
You seem to have forgotten that I am a woman.
La 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 la. All right, everybody, welcome back. We are back here another week at Haus Haux. I am your host, Moush, and I am here joined with the wonderful, always beautiful, very peppy and hilarious Adele Carollo. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. My first time as a guest on a podcast.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. I've actually had out of the 27 episodes that we've done, I've had quite a few first time guests on a podcast.
Yeah, first time guest. I've never heard myself introduced.
Oh my God. Well, welcome. Adele and I met, I would say, I think it's probably been about a year or a little bit more ago. You're the manager at the Stand Comedy Club.
Yes.
Where Irish and I frequent often. It is one of our favorite places in the city. So definitely, if you're ever in New York, go check that out. Yes. And Adele is also the host of a very awesome podcast, Top 9.
Yes, with Tom Cassidy.
Yes. And we were listening to that today, and I was cracking up.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, it's my thing outside of the Stand. The Stand kind of identifies who I am, which I love because it's my pride and joy. I love the space. I love the community of people that come watch shows. Of course, I love the comics.
Yeah.
And my friendships that have just come from that, position are just so valuable, and I'm so grateful. But the podcast is something separate from that, which is great. It scratches my creative itch, so to speak.
And you get to hear your opinions, and the little jabs that you kind of plug in there. We were listening to the Brendan Sagalow episode.
Okay, yeah. Top 9 fat guys.
Yeah, fat icons, which was hilarious.
Yeah, so part of the fun is seeing what people choose for their topic.
Oh, so you allow people to choose their topic?
Sure, yeah.
Oh my God,
and
amazing.
That's fun when they finally hit me with that text, I'm going to do, Mark Norman's top 9 nicknames for vagina. I'm like, of course you are going to do that topic. Yes, let's go.
That's awesome.
Giulio Gallerati, who you had on, did top 9 childhood movies.
Oh my God,
and we're around the same age, so that was fun and nostalgic, but that's his personality to get into some nostalgia and family. And he's super Italian, and we had fun there.
Yes.
But, seeing what people pick is part of the fun.
I love that. The nostalgia element is so... That's been such kind of a common theme in my life lately. I don't know if it's just... I turned 30 in April.
It feels good.
It feels good, having that, a little nostalgia in your life, a little, kiss of it.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Soothing.
Yeah.
Self-soothing,
Yeah.
I would say. It's helpful to reminisce about better times, especially when you're under a lot of pressure and stress.
A little side about nostalgia. I had Lori Friedlander on my podcast a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about, I make candles also. Okay. And a sort of a theme that I realized as we were talking about my candles is that I try to create nostalgia through smell. Okay. And she smelled one of my candles that reminded of a summer of 1995. And I just love whatever is anyone's passion or art that can take you to a place, I think is so cool and amazing. And it's cool to see how you have that effect on other people.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm sure you see that all the time because you're witnessing comedy all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Watching comedy is definitely a perk of the job.
Right. But I know that you have a little bit of a history with comedy before the Stand, so I was wondering if we could get into that a little bit. If you'd tell us sort of your origin of how did comedy come into your life?
Sure, yeah. About 2 years before the Stand opened is when I started in comedy.
What year is this?
2010.
Okay, 2010. And what was happening in your life?
From 2005 to 2010, I was the ultimate cliche and aspiring actress in New York City.
Okay.
I'm from Queens, but I always had my sights set on the entertainment business and living in the city and doing that audition circuit racket. Mostly I was taking acting classes.
Yeah.
I would take a class once a week for 5 hours, and I really thought I was giving it a go. And I would cocktail waitress for money and make a shit ton of money. And it was, I worked 3 days a week and the 1 day of acting school. So that was a full week in your 20s. That was good. I was good. I had a boyfriend and we just hung out.
Living the dream, just in New York.
It was the best. Yeah. It was a fun time. But then, I'm hitting 29, about to 30. I'm like, let me try something else.
Yeah.
And how did I find out about? Okay, I'm like really going back. So because I was doing that, I was introduced to Paul Italia, the owner.
Okay.
He's with the girl for a very long time, engaged. They're very happy, but this is before her time. They were on a date. We're at a club, and my girlfriend was on a date with Paul.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. And she's drunk, and she's going to him. You manage comedians. Help her. Like all drunk and like nudging his shoulder. He's like, awkwardly. Do you do comedy? I was like, no, acting. And he's like, all right, well, if you ever write a set, let me know. I'll be interested. Let me know. And then we left it at that. But that planted a seed in my head. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. So I wrote a set. And then I got his number. And I was like, I have a set. I'm ready. He's like, okay, let me know where you're performing. And I'll come check it out. I was like, oh, bet. Cool. No doubt you're not going to do it all for me. Perfect. Got it. Nailed it. Be right back. I was so oblivious. I just thought everything would be handed to me on a platter. What's so hard, right? Getting on a show in New York City.
Writing a set. Got this. Be back Wednesday.
That's really kind of what I did. So I was like, where can I do this? And my friends worked for this guy, Eddie, who owned a few bars in the city. Opal was one. Village Lantern was another. And I would go to her bar, but I would always remember my peripheral seeing Comedy Club with like arrows going down the stairs. So I was like, Eddie. And Eddie always had a crush on me. Yeah. So I hit up Eddie. I was like, Eddie, I need 7 minutes on the lineup on Saturday night. And he's like, what? You're too hot to be a comic. And I was like, not now,
Story of my life.
No, Eddie. Focus. Can I do it? And it happened to me my birthday, too.
Amazing.
So when friends were like, what are you doing for your birthday? I was like, come to this comedy show. Come to this comedy show. I'm performing. I had like 20 people there. My little brother said that he sat in the audience. And when it sunk in that I was performing, he said he was panicking.
Oh, my God.
He's like, I thought you were some stupid fucking play or some fucking shit or watching somebody in your class do stand up. When I realized you were doing this for the first time in front of all of us, I was going to fucking kill you. I was having a heart attack. I was like, what? What's the problem?
What'd you talk about? Like, did you talk about him during your set or something?
No. Just trying stand-up for the first time in front of people that matter and count.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking ballsy. That's fucking insane. But I had like no fear, and I think that was part of it. I wasn't afraid yet. Yes, of course, I couldn't catch my breath when I first got up there. But up until I got up there, I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So I got the spot. I told friends to come for my birthday. It's Paul. I got in touch with him, and I said, come. He double parked at a hydrant and came to the show.
Yes.
And I held my own.
That's awesome.
I held my own. I got a few laughs. And then afterwards, he said to me, you mean to tell me that was your first time doing stand-up? I was like, uh-huh. And he's like, all right, keep at it and be in touch. I was like, okay, cool. And then I found out about a bringer show at Broadway Comedy Club. New York's best comedian, or best new comic, gets 2 spots a week for 3 months. That was the prize. Okay. And going back to aspiring actress for 5 years, my friends and family were just so eager to see me do anything. So if I told them I was doing something, they showed up in droves. And
nice. That's so supportive and awesome.
From Jersey to Queens, Westchester,
amazing.
They came.
That's great.
And the winner was determined by an applause meter.
Oh,
so
shit.
I fucking won that shit.
Yes.
So not only won, but I also didn't fail. I like held my own. There might have been one person who should have gotten it, if I'm being honest with myself. But I held my own. It wasn't like a steal. I didn't steal it. I won it. And then the guy who ran the contest, I started showing up for them, my prize. Yeah. And he said to me, you're the only one who's ever won this and shows up for their spots.
What?
I was like, what? Yes, that's how I felt. Like, I was like, who's not cashing in?
Yeah, in New York City.
In New York City, twice a week. For 5 minutes, you got a spot, like brand new to comedy, like not an open mic. You're not paying to do it. Like, take it, cash it in. But he said that people, I don't know, it's kind of like their Make-A-Wish moment. They do the contest, and then they really don't. A lot of times you find out people really don't want their dreams. What they're asking for.
Or that they're not, like, willing to actually put in the work for it. You know what I mean?
So everything is hard. Anything worth getting is really difficult.
Absolutely.
So I feel like when people realize what it is, they kind of back out.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you said that because we were talking a little bit before this, and like I talk a lot about accountability on this podcast, you know, so that, I mean, that is huge. And I feel like we talk about this offline, like all the time too, just if you have an opportunity to like use your voice somewhere and then you don't show up or take it seriously, why would anybody else take you seriously?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, prime example, like you took the direction, you did the thing, and you followed through with it, and then even after that you continued on with it. And it's so funny how many people trickle off in any of those steps, and like but they're so like full force and like boasting about like, I'm gonna do this thing. Well, like,
yeah,
fucking do it.
My kind of theme has always been, that's why I don't even say I'm going to do some things, because if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to half-ass do it. I'd rather not do it at all.
Yeah.
That's how I am with a lot of things. But that causes procrastination and like not like doing some things because it's not going to be exactly the way I want it.
It's part of the reason I started this podcast, honestly. Like, we moved to New York, and I've been doing art my entire life, and I've been painting my entire life. But where I wanted to be, like, as an artist, I needed to take myself more seriously. And then, like, coming to New York, you learn that. Like, you need to know what you want, when you want it, because everything's moving all the time, super fast, and no one remembers anything that you're doing.
About a recent conversation I had with my boss was, you can't get what you want until you know what you want, and then you can't ask for what you want. Like, he's like, all right, what do you want, Adele? And I like hit him with what I want. But yeah, you got to know what you want and ask for it.
Yeah,
totally, absolutely.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Sorry, I interrupted what you were saying.
No, so so after that was barking, because I won the contest. 3 months was up. I didn't want to stop. Caught the bug, and he's like, you can bark in Times Square if you want, and if you sell 2 tickets, you get 5 minutes on stage. No, four. I had to give him back $10, and they were $20 tickets.
Okay.
And I did it for a while. I would stand in Times Square and be like, comedy, and I would sell a few, but I mentioned making a lot of money and having a boyfriend, so half the time I would give him $40 at the end. Like, be out there for like an hour and a half and be like, sold 4. And sometimes my boyfriend would give it to me, or I would just be like, I had a good week, and then just pay for the tickets.
Oh my God.
And get my 5 minutes, and that would be my like performance for the week.
Oh my God.
Scratch my itch, as I mentioned, needing to do. And then he's like, you always sell just 4 tickets, Adele. I was like, yep, that's it, just 4. And he's like, why don't you work at the front and do the box office, direct traffic? Because Broadway Comedy Club, if you remember, has a ground level and then a downstairs. So people often come up, where am I going? What am I doing?
Yeah.
So I would check them in. He's like, you could work all night, 8-hour shift, but I get on 3 shows.
Okay.
So I did that on Friday and Saturday for like 2 years.
That's fun. This is good deals that's happening right now. And honestly, there are some, like we said we're not going to name names, but I just have people in my mind that I'm like, I swear to God, like they told me they had this opportunity and like, take it. Like if anybody, I'm just thinking of people right now that like let that kind of thing go, and it's bananas.
You can't let it pass by, because the way it just developed into the next thing for me, like it would have been left behind.
And people watch you take the opportunity and how seriously you take it.
Oh my God, the comics table, the first couple times I showed up on that contest prize, I would just sit around and be like, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? And they're just like, who are you? How are you here? They like hated the contest winners. Like they were just very cliquey. But because I kept showing up every week, twice a week, and then I barked on Times Square, and then I froze my ass off and walked inside to do a set, I eventually became friends with these comics.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of where it started.
Yeah. They want to like see that you're like doing the thing that they're doing.
Yeah, and then you give a shit about it as much as they do, and you respect what they're doing up there by showing up, and trying and failing, and But it was fun. I co-hosted an open mic with Corinne Fisher.
Fun.
There. That was like the beginnings. And then going back to Paul Italia, at this point he opened up the stand. And a few months into them opening, it was Halloween time, it was October, and I had a pumpkin. I went there as a housewarming, like a business warming present, and sat at the bar to meet Paul. In the meantime, Dave Kimowitz, R.I.P., he came up to me and was like, is that pumpkin for us? And I was like, actually it is. And I introduced myself, and I met his wife, Laura, and we clicked. And then Paul comes over and, pulls over Christine, actually. She's like, he's like, Dell's gonna start hostessing for us and working here. Like, get our information. Because after a little bit of chatting, he's like, don't work at Broadway Comedy Club, work here. And I was like, well, I'm working for spots, you know, like I'm not really working there. But he's like, that place stinks. Come work at the Stand. And I was like, all right. So I started hostessing at the Stand, bartending too, because I had some experience in that. / they needed it.
Yeah.
So I was doing both, but I was still doing comedy. I remember working brunch shifts for the Stand, bartending, and then I would leave and do my shift at Broadway.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my hustle for a little bit. And then they asked me to be the assistant manager at the Stand. And I knew what it meant. It was like making a choice. And I decided, and it's funny because I was going to quit that day.
Really?
I was going to quit that day, and I was planning on it, and I was going to go to Florida and stay with my friend in Miami for
however long.
long. I had just gone through a breakup. After being with him for 10 years, so I was like a neighborhood person. Cross contamination with all of our friends. I was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to Miami. I'm doing this. So the day I was quitting, the general manager at the time came up to me. She's like, we want to offer you an assistant manager job. And I'm like people pleasing, caught off guard. I was like, yes. Oh, yes, I'll try. And then 5 minutes later, I was like, ugh, and I went back up to her. I was like, Zaya, I was gonna quit today. And she's like, what? I was like, I was just quitting a hostess bartending job. So give me that. Like, I didn't think I was turning down a position, but I was literally gonna quit today.
Oh my God, what a conundrum.
So Paul was like, the owner was like, still go to Florida, think about it, and let us know. So I did some soul searching in Florida and realized, and I was turning 30, and I just collapsed under the pressure of needing to be on a path where it's more stable and career-centric, and I thought that it was still part of the process of stand-up comedy, producing shows, facilitating them, being around the comics. I still felt that I was a part of live entertainment, and I said yes. I came back to Florida, and I was like, I'll be your assistant manager.
Yeah.
And I did that in a combination of them thinking I did a good job at that and them not liking their GM at all. They were like, you're the GM, like literally 3 months later, maybe.
My God.
And I remember pulling Paul aside because he was a friend first. I said, Paul, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think you should do this. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. You are fucking handing over something that I don't know how to do, you know, a job that I don't know how to do. And he was like, listen, we're new business owners. You're a new manager. We'll afford you the learning curve. We just ask that you don't make the same mistakes, but we expect you to make mistakes just like we're going to. You just learn from them.
This is your next 7-minute set.
I was like, all right, let's do this. And then I stopped doing comedy. I stopped doing comedy. And that was 10 years ago.
Wow. Do you miss it at all?
No.
Not in that same way.
Not in the same way, but I do think about it sometimes. I totally would have been famous.
I think you're famous, like, in your own right here.
No, I mean, like, the people that have succeeded that I started off with.
Yeah.
Not naming names.
Yeah.
I feel like I was so much funnier. And if I would have kept doing it and practicing and, like, writing and, like, 10 years into it, forget about it.
I had, like, that same itch. Because I was telling you before, this is sort of how we met. We met at an open mic. Like, you know, so I went through a breakup and, like, comedy helped me through it and all the things. And then we moved here. And I did 2 open mics during COVID. So, like, it was not the same. But I chose, like, all of this, and putting my, like, time and effort into that. But still, like, I'll still, like, write sometimes or, like, have funny, like, little ideas and, like, try to think of different ways that I can incorporate that. But, like, I think humor's always been part of, like, my expression in any way. So, like, I always want to integrate it in some way. Do you feel like even before, like, when you were doing acting, starting off, like, did you have a role in mind? Like, did you think you were going to do something comedy driven or, like, more serious? Or?
You know, drama was my jam.
Hell yeah.
Drama was my jam. I remember acting classes, we'd cry, and I would make a puddle on the floor.
My
like
God.
A literal puddle that I would sop up with my sock, like my foot, like after the scene. Like, I remember that distinctly, like, oh, shit.
Wow.
Yeah, so drama was my jam. I thought I was going to like tell other people's stories. And that's the one part about comedy I didn't like.
Yeah.
I didn't like that it was Adele Carollo up there. I didn't like telling my story. I'll tell an exaggerated story about my life and make you laugh and make fun of myself and get into it about relatable things and be me up there, but I much prefer to tell someone else's story and wear like a prosthetic nose and like just fucking
That's awesome though. That's awesome.
That's what I saw for myself, if it was the dream early on. But.
You could like, I don't know, integrate some kind of character, I'm sure, until have a top 9 characters that Adele would do or something like that.
Oh my God, I have this one picture of myself as a Shakespearean character as a man.
Yeah.
And my little brother will send it to me periodically and write, never forget.
Yes.
It's like so mortifying.
Oh my God.
And it's literally like belongs in a vault and he like shows me like I could always put this on.
That's
the internet.
amazing.
Like, please, no.
I remember in 7th grade, every 7th grader had to do Midsummer Night's Dream as a play. Like it was part of the curriculum, but you got to sort of like half try out or whatever for whatever part you wanted.
Okay.
So I wanted Puck. I don't know if you're familiar or remember any of this thing, but Puck was like this little like mischievous fairy. It was like the comedic relief in the play.
Gotcha.
And Puck had a monologue. So like when I really sat and thought, I'm like, how long has comedy just like been in my wanting to do this? Like that felt so good.
That punchline moment.
Yeah,
like,
just like I memorized all this funny stuff and here it is for you. And that I'm kind of just like thinking of what character I related to and like something that's crazy and dramatic. But I loved that. That was so much fun for me, like doing drama as a kid too.
Yeah.
Did you do that your whole life?
No, I was a late bloomer, painfully shy. Like I was for so long too afraid to admit I wanted to be an actress. Like I was like embarrassed of that. Like it always felt like a little conceited. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like saying it out loud and realizing that's what held me back for so long. I was like not ready to like say that I wanted it.
Yeah.
And then once high school was done and I was, living in the city on my own and like trying to do what I want.
Yeah.
That's when I started doing acting.
Yeah.
It was like time for me
That's
to like
awesome.
make stuff happen. Yeah.
That's cool.
With joking and having a good sense of humor, I definitely get that from my father.
Yeah.
He passed away 13 years ago, but left a huge impression on me, and even in my adulthood, because he was the jokester and he would tell jokes to his friends in Italian, and I don't speak Italian fluently enough to get a punchline. And a lot of it was the humor that I wouldn't get anyway.
Yeah.
But I remember at being little and that moment the punchline hit and everyone would laugh in the room, I would start laughing because laughter is contagious like that. You literally don't even need to know what you're laughing at and you can start laughing. And he was the jokester. Like people would like spit, like laughing, like fall, like hold their bellies laugh. And I remember like looking around, looking at how happy they were.
So impressionable.
And that's who he was. He was like the jokester of his crew. And I like to think that he's looking down on me, like laughing at my life, like literally watching me and in by default watching comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And he loves it. Yeah, he's cracking
awesome.
up.
I want to talk a little bit about like comedy and accountability for a second, because we were talking about the opportunities that you fully took advantage of and like really just went head first. When you see comics all the time, like go in and out, like what kind of not advice, but like what kind of direction do you feel like you want to maybe like spit out there, like be accountable for your actions, like take advantage of opportunities, like don't hold yourself back? Because I do feel like a lot of people in this industry at their core are shy, or like are afraid to say like, I am a comedian, can I have 5 minutes, or like whatever, can I be on your podcast, or something like that? Like what advice do you think like do you want to give them?
You know, people have asked me in the past for advice, and I say I give them one piece of advice to show up and watch comedy.
Yeah.
You got to watch as much comedy as you can. And that's an opportunity that's, for the most part, free and available to you every single night, because we at the Stand have an open door policy. If there are seats and we can't sell them, it's not sold out, you are welcome to that seat as a comic. Yeah,
I actually didn't even know that.
Yeah, open door policy. Yeah. If we have the space, and like we even allow for people to stand sometimes, but if it's sold out and packed, like interrupt service, I'll kick them out. Sorry in advance.
That's okay. That's part of your accountability, right? Like making sure this show goes smoothly and
totally. But if you're able to and you can grab a seat, watch the pros do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Watch the pros handle the same joke differently in different shows. If they use it, if they throw it away for a set, depending on the audience, depending on how much time they have. Yeah. All these things, like study it. Like it's a class.
I'm such a big proponent of that. Like even just watching specials, like old comedy or like documentaries on comedians or
that
like
too.
writers.
Yeah, that counts. Sure.
Are there any actually, let me ask you this. Are there any writers that you sort of admire?
I mean,
or just that, work on projects that you're like, this person worked on this project. I know they're awesome and they're a good writer. You should look out for what they do.
I mean, they're all the comics that I know.
I know you didn't want to name names. This is me asking you to name names. Sorry. I'll go past that one.
You're like, who's the best writer?
No, what I mean is when you see people putting in reps, it just makes an impression. And we take note of that often. And I know that when you're in that environment, it's just something that, like you said, observe the people who are there all the time.
And for a manager, I notice when people put in that time and energy and are focused and show up and watch and stay out of the way and tip the servers, you know, even if they
nice
get
to
water.
Staff.
Nice to staff. Stuff like that is noticeable. So, just show up. Yeah. And then it's like you get on the radar because you're literally in my face.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, I think this is actually probably this is a good time for me to do my little report on my art and things like that. So, everybody, I've been recording episodes a little bit closer to each other. So I usually do a weekly report, but this is a little bit more accelerated for me. So I've been designing an adult coloring book. Nice. And this episode comes out after June 30th. So it will be done by then because my goal was to get it done by then and it's on track. Yay. And I know I say that every episode, but it's good to keep on track, right? This is where I'm supposed to be accountable.
I post on my Instagram stories for accountability. Yeah. When I'm doing a 30-day challenge, I'm literally day 1, day 2, day 3. If you don't see me post, I'm not doing it.
Maybe I should just literally do that because I have been better about posting the actual pages and things like that and just kind of exposing what the project is a little bit more. But I have been kind of also been a little bit focused on doing more individual process projects. So just know that I've been kind of trying to come up with a little set for that to make it easier. So there's more behind the scenes things because I've been asked about that a ton. And I'll just show the finished product, and that's apparently not enough for everybody. But I guess you can show your process a little bit more. So I am that's where I'm shy. Yeah. This is gonna sound weird, but when I'm painting or when I'm doing anything creative, it feels like if you're watching me, it's like you're watching me masturbate. You know what I mean? I
can understand that.
It's very personal to me, and I make things out of the mistakes that I think I'm making on the canvas, and that I get self-conscious about that. So I'm trying to be a little bit better about letting go of that because who fucking cares? Yeah. No one knows that I made a mistake except for me.
And their opinion literally doesn't matter.
Literally doesn't matter. And if I don't care anyways, then why?
And chances are they're ooh, they love it. Anything you do, they're just I can't do that. When I see somebody draw something literally anything, and I'm wow. Yeah. I can't imagine making a smiley face.
That's
kudos.
It's a blob until it's not a blob, and that you know, whatever. It's very precious, but I'm trying to be less precious with it because if I want more people to see it, then you have to involve people in it.
I'll just do your coloring book.
Yeah.
I can handle that. Just give me some markers.
Hell yeah.
Tell me the rules.
There's no rules.
Okay,
There's no
even
rules.
Better. Stay in the lines. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, like the fun part that I think about each page is there's sort of like a mantra or like a thing that I want you to think about on each page.
Nice.
And it corresponds with like the back of a postcard that I've written to that page.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And it takes you over like the course of like a year and like a journey, and hopefully we'll get you through sort of like any creative blockages and things like that. So
That's nice.
that's been my intention.
Coloring is very zen. It's very like it's
an
meditation.
easy thing
moment.
to do. And like I'm a big like meditation like person, and I try to have.
I want to be. I wish I was.
I try to have a little slice of that during the day, every day at the beginning. So I'll wake up and I won't answer anybody until 10:30.
Okay.
And during that time, from when I'm up until then, I will try to do yoga. I will try to do one small creative thing for myself, or give myself like a break to wake up and not like jump into the day, because I have a million things to do all the time and I'm responsible for all kinds of shit every single day. But if like you don't have that little slice, a sliver of heaven, then like what are you fucking waking up for? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotta get better. I wish I was better at meditating. I've tried, but it feels like I'm trying so hard every time I do it.
Suggested Sarah Beth Yoga on YouTube to me once, and she has a couple of different playlists that are different like lengths. So she'll have like a 10-minute of whatever yoga, and like that's a breeze. I can do 10 minutes of yoga like in the morning, fine, you know. But what I like about her is that she has, you know, yoga for anger, yoga for grief, yoga for like back pain or like whatever, and she has like 10 to 15 to 20-minute ones, and like it kind of helps you like ease in. So not jumping in totally like cannonballing, but like easing in, I find is a lot helpful.
Yeah, setting maybe like a 5-minute timer. I love a yoga class. I love a hot yoga class.
Me too. I got like weird about it in COVID, about going to yoga classes, so I started doing it at home.
Okay.
You can't do hot yoga at home. It's so hard.
It's so hard. Hot yoga is the shit because you finish and you're just like, I am a fucking warrior.
Yeah, I'm a new human.
I fucking did that shit. It's so fucking hard. That when you finish, you just feel so accomplished.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite.
What is another thing, not exercise, that you did that's really hard, that you felt good when you finished it?
Opening up this fucking club, pulling off 9 shows a night, 3-ring circus, like literally 3 stages, 9 shows. I'm introducing every one of them. I know that's not like a chip of the iceberg of what I do, but like it's just crazy, like the hustle of it. So and night after night is the fucking craziest part that I'm doing it over and over again.
I don't know how you don't get tired.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired, and I feel like I'm like teetering on the other side tired. Yeah. But the like hope is near type of like me and Nona are on the same page about the future for me, but I'm still in it, man.
Yeah.
I'm still putting in that work, but I'm hoping the next 10, I've done 10, a 10-year bid. I'm hoping the next 10 will be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And it should be, right? You lay the groundwork and you work real hard, and that's really what I've been up to the last 10 years, just putting my head down, work really hard, so much so that I don't look around and realize what I've done, or we've done it as a club, and the home we've made for so many comedians. And Dave Chappelle's a huge fan of my club. What the fuck?
Your club is, I talk so highly of your club.
Thank you.
Like, it is our favorite place to go.
Good.
Like, honestly, like it is so welcoming. You guys have amazing food, which is so unheard of for a comedy club.
Doesn't exist.
It just doesn't. It just doesn't. And like, to do it in New York is a big deal. And like, when you're doing it over and over and over again, especially you're from New York, so you're probably even more like, this is the way it is. But like when you come in from outside, like it's people notice that.
I went on like 3 dates with this guy from Hinge, and he was from Italy.
Yeah.
And he was like, very matter of factly, he's like, so you run the best club in New York City, so more or less you run the best club in the country, because what else? And I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, man. Yeah, totally, Francesco. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Talk about not dropping names.
Seriously, I was so pumped. I was like, that's a
Yeah.
great review. I was like, I want to see it from your point of view. But yeah, keep my head down, work real hard. And
I mean, like, nothing happens overnight. And I would, like, anything good at least takes 10 years.
I know.
Comic, artist, club, anything.
For sure. And some of the newer comics that have been in it less time, because I've watched people get so much better, like light years away. And not to say they were bad. No one's bad if, you know, you're a working comic in New York City. I my sense of humor, like my threshold, I'm very easy to please, believe it or not. Like, I think everything is funny. I even think bombing is funny.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, I these people are talented, but they're still new.
Yeah.
And you can't really be that good until you're that good.
Yeah.
So that goes back to watching comedy, watching the vets do it, the OGs get up there, handle it the way they do, acting like it's the first time they've ever said it out loud. Meanwhile, like, you know what the punchline is as a person behind the scenes.
Yeah. It must be so cool just to see people, like, blossom over time.
Yes, early development is one of my favorite parts of my job.
Yeah.
Watching them.
I feel like the Stand does a really good job with, like, giving, like, opportunity and harnessing that. You know what I mean?
100%.
Over a lot of other clubs, which are also great clubs, but, like, with young talent, like, they're really able to, like, learn and grow there in their space.
Absolutely. You never know who's going to be the next household name, and everyone deserves respect and to be treated well, even at the newer level. And that's always been our approach. We don't wait for them to be rich and famous to be comforting and you know, I like to foster a good creative workspace, you know, for them.
Absolutely.
So making them feel like they belong there. You know, other clubs, they literally have an intimidation tactic about it. Like, you can't sit here vibe.
It's
we've
like,
never been like that.
Wouldn't you want to have somewhere where people feel, comics don't feel comfortable anywhere.
I know.
You know what I mean? So, like,
That's part of the hazing, man. It's
You
like
know?
they make these like monsters.
Yeah.
But, you know, the business is tough too. So maybe they have the right idea. Maybe I'm fucking coddling these people. Maybe that's why they think they're so good after 5 years. It's fucking my fault. They're fucking like, yeah, I got passed at the Stand. I could do it all. Who knows? I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they get it from, like, also everywhere. It's like coming home. Like, you feel more loose and you feel more comfortable, you know?
No.
So that's a good thing, you
No
know?
regrets.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
I'm glad that's our vibe.
Have you seen, without naming names, but have you seen people, like, sort of come into comedy and then take a little break and then come back in, like, full force? Or does that not really happen?
It doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Judah to come back and do live comedy. He's been doing his Zoom shows. I think he can come back whenever he wants.
We'll clip this and send it to him.
He's an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
He'll get back on stage. But yeah, especially if you leave before your time or you hit, probably chances you went with plan B.
Yeah.
And you don't see them again.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think if anyone came back.
I mean, because I think you can be an important person in comedy without being a stand-up comic. You know what I mean? Like, yourself included, you know what I mean? Like, foster. I mean, that's really what it is. Like, outside of the comics, then it's like the people who run the clubs.
Yeah.
You know what? That's the next round or equally as important group of people. So I commend you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. The cute like mentions like that, like thank you for running the club. Like the thanks I get is really heartwarming from hearing it from comics, because you can tell they just like they love what they do and they're just happy to find a way to do it.
It
regularly.
overflows to everybody else too. I mean, like we don't stand on stage anymore or anything, but like even any time that we've come, we've been felt to be like this is home and like very comfortable and
I love that we do free shows on Monday for comedy fans, and we've always been about the cause. Comedy is the remedy vibe. Yeah, and
will heal us all.
Yeah, it really will. And it like helped me through that breakup 10 years, ago. And I would like tuck now, even now when I'm in a funk, I sit and tuck into the showroom and I watch. And I just laugh, and the serotonin rush is real, man.
Yeah,
it fucking works.
Yeah,
like a charm. Who needs antidepressants?
I know. I mean, there was a year of my life where I had, I'm not joking, like on repeat, just either comedy or podcast or something comedy related to get me through depression, and like until I found like a way to channel that in another way. And like I can't thank comedy as a thing, you know, like enough for giving me that. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I still feel a part of it. Even though I stopped getting on the stage, I still feel like I'm making it happen in my own way. And I enjoy my job. It's very stressful, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. And if everything good like comes with stress, you know. But actually with that, since we'll do our little like manifesting time, I think it's like getting close to that time anyways. But is there anything that you want to put out there into the world of like you want to be accountable for, or you want to start a project or something that you want?
I want to focus more on my personal life.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm such a workhorse. I'm so dedicated to my job that it's kind of, like I mentioned in the beginning, like identified who I am, and I'm looking for that next chapter of just kind of like have something else to focus on besides the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
so
ideas in mind?
I guess I'm manifesting love.
Yes.
Tale as old as time. Bring me love.
Hell yeah. Dude, you have to put it here. Right here, and just like in your third eye, and then it'll come.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
Let me know.
Like, what the fuck?
I'm like, do we need a rock, a stone, a crystal?
I don't go as far as crystals.
I know nothing of the world. I know I'm in my bubble. I live on planet Stand. I am ruler and queen, but that's like
it's a great planet, though. So,
yeah.
Welcome to ours.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about Top 9, but where else can people find you and listen to your podcast?
Yes, please, Top 9 Podcast. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. I love reading the comments for now. Some comics have told me they turn. I'm like, what? They're so sweet. Apparently. We can get comments could be not fun, but for now I'm enjoying my comments. Good. Say hello and comment. Top 9 Podcast.
Yeah.
Every week we have a new guest. He or she chooses a topic of their interest and rates their top 9. Cool. So it's always different and it's always fun. Comedy podcast. We have a good time. Yes. And then I'm on Instagram, Adele_Carollo. Couple thirst traps in my stories every now and again. My ex tells me that I thirst trap with my face. He's like, you don't even fucking show your fucking body. I see you fucking thirst trapping with your face. I was like, whatever that means, thank you. I don't know what to tell you.
I feel like that's an achievement.
Yeah. Hater. Bye.
Sorry, you can't. Amazing.
But yeah, follow me on there. Say hello.
Awesome. Irish, do you want to plug anything?
Just follow me at It's Irish O'Neill on all social media.
Hell yeah. And I am Ani Moush. Look out for if the coloring book is done, which it will be. See, I told you I would do it. It's September. It's definitely past June 30th. Dude, it's out. Like I said at the top of this episode, it's out. But in case you missed it, it's out. The link will be in the description of this podcast, so please check that out.
Yes, check it out.
Tell me what your favorite page is. AniMoushMedia.com for all that. And I love you guys. Thank you, Adele.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I hope you come back.
Yes, I'll be back. This was fun.
Awesome.
Thank you.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace.